Hey friends, Zack Sanchez here. I was watching a Les Brown video last night and he said something that really resonated with me and it really hit me at a deep level. And what he said was, he said, ask for help, not because you're weak, but in order to stay strong. And he said, ask for help until you find it. And I struggled with this for a really long time, which is why it hit me at such a deep level. Because there was a time in my life where I needed help, but I was scared to seek it out because I didn't want to look like I didn't have things figured out. I didn't want to admit that I was lost. I didn't want to admit that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to admit that I had failed, that I had messed up. Right? And so that kept me from seeking the help that I needed to get better. When I was 14, my dad committed suicide. And that really sent me down a path of self-destruction. And as I reflected back on that experience years later, it was one of those moments where I thought, man, where was the help? No one ever offered to come counsel me. No one ever suggested that I go talk to somebody. There was literally no help. And I believe that most people are scared to ask for help because of the fear of being judged, the fear of being criticized for not having it figured out, for messing up. You know, what's wrong with you? You haven't got all this figured out? How dare you make a mistake in life? How dare you try something and fail? How dare you? Right? So all this stuff goes on in our head and it keeps us stuck because we don't want to be judged by people. It's hard for us to admit that we don't know what we do, that we don't know what we're doing. You know, that we don't know how to manage money or we don't know how to function in a relationship. It's hard for us to admit that we don't have shit figured out. But the truth is when you can admit that you don't have shit figured out, that's when you can that's when you put yourself on the road to getting things figured out. Some of the best athletes in the world, what do they have? They all have coaches, right? They all have coaches to help them get better. They all have coaches to help them pull them out of a slump if they start to get down on their luck. They all have coaches to help critique their performance in order to take them to the next level. You see, help in life is so crucial because the road of life is always traveled with others, right? You don't drive this, you don't travel this road by yourself. And so in order to really get the most out of this experience, you've got to surround yourself with people who are uplifting. You've got to be able to be okay seeking out help in the areas of your life that you need help in, and realize that that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of you saying, I want to make the most of my life, and I admit that I don't have it yet, but I also admit that that's where I'm going. That's why I'm seeking out help. You have to be okay with admitting that you don't know how to get there alone, which is okay. Which is okay. Mark Victor Hansen says 1 + 1 isn't 2, 1 + 1 is 11, because when you get two people and you put them together, their energies start to merge, and next thing you know, there's this synergy, and it's multiplied, right? So it was last year, I finally went and visited my dad's grave. It had been 13 years. It was my first time ever going and visiting this grave. And as I went and visited, I was reflecting back and all these thoughts came to me, right? My heart's starting to race now just thinking of it because it was one of those moments where life comes full circle. As I sat there at his grave, I started to well up, I started to cry because I started to think about, why didn't he ask for help? You know, he only did what he did because he was in a position where he had a failed business venture. He had a failed marriage. His closest brother just died, right? Life really gave him a blow, and he didn't know how to handle it. And so it broke him. It broke him. He didn't know how to go ask for help. He didn't know that he could go ask for help. So here I am, years later, as a grown man, as a coach, as someone who helps people get their life together, I'm at my father's grave because he was too scared to ask for help. And now I'm in a position where I would be able to help him, right? There was people out there that could have helped him choose a different direction, choose a different choice. There was people out there that could help him pull himself out of the dark pit that he was in. There's no doubt that he was in a dark place. But that doesn't mean you can't see light again. That doesn't mean you can't see possibilities again. But you have to surround yourself with someone who can see that still in you and believes in you until you can learn to believe in yourself again. Until you can prove to yourself that, wow, I can do this. So, that was heavy. But I'm telling you, I just feel so, it's so true. It's so true that the need for help, the asking for help is it's such a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. So if there's something that would do you some good to get help with, seek it out. Take control of your life today and say, you know what? I deserve better. And seek it out. Seek out counsel. Seek out help. Well, friends, I'm Zack Sanchez. And as I like to say, your life changes in an instant the minute you take an interest in it. So friends, let's take an interest in it. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.